We're going to practice for a moment step 1 on the relationship dialogue process. If you go back to the second side of your red sheet, step 1 was mirroring. This is where we're simply going to try to reflect back what we hear the other person saying. Now, as we do this, we're a team. We're not doing this individually, all right? I mean, I'm going to ask you for individual responses, but we're all working as a team because as a team, we're trying to come up with what we think would be the most powerful reflective listening response, meaning that we fully understood the other person. Now, what you're doing when you're reflecting is you truly are acting as a mirror. What that means is you don't put in any of your stuff. None of your interpretations, none of your thoughts, none of your ideas. You're just trying to make sure the other person knows that you got fully what they said, that you understood it in the context of their life. So you're really trying to do this, M equals M. You're trying to prove that to them. Okay, so I'm going to ask you on your ivory colored sheet, which is titled Reflective Listening on the top, to take, let's take number 1. And read that carefully. This is now somebody, a friend of yours has come and has said this to you, and you want this person to feel understood, so you're going to reflect back to them what you heard. I want you to take a few minutes and write down a reflective listening response to that sentence, just so we start to see that we can do this, but we have to be on top of our game to do it well. So if you actually write it down, and then we're going to sort of share a few of the different versions. And let me just say ahead of time, there's 100 different responses that could all be good reflective listening responses. So we're not looking for one response here. Okay, so would somebody just give me your reflective response, and then we'll look for the strengths and growth areas for that response. I'm going to write down your word-by-word thing here if I can. Maybe I need a different. Let's try this one. Okay, who's going to volunteer?
I'll go.
Dave, thank you.
If I hear you correctly.
If I hear you correctly, which of course he hasn't started reflecting yet, but go on.
You're wondering if you should look.
You are wondering if you should look
for another job due to the circumstances.
Due to the circumstances.
At work.
At work.
Comma.
Yeah.
But you're also wondering
yeah.
whether that might lead your boss.
Whether that might lead your boss
to let you go.
To let you go. Anything else?
Period.
Period. Okay. So now, the way you look for whether it's a good reflective listening response is the very first thing you look for is did we put in any of our own agenda, our own life stuff, our own thoughts? And if you look at this, if I hear you correctly, you are wondering if you should look for another job due to the circumstances at work. You know, he's summarizing there, right? He could have said specifically what circumstances, but he, you know, that's okay. But you are also wondering whether that might lead your boss to let you go. What do you think? Would you add anything? I don't think that's bad. And so the first thing you're looking for, did he capture the essentials of what the other person was saying? Now, let me just point out to you that if you get 80% of what they say, that's more than most people ever give them, and they start to feel understood. And typically what they'll do is just go on talking now. But you've told them you got that part, right? Okay. But did anybody have something that you wanted in there that is not captured by what Dave said? So I'm noticing he's got the wondering coming up twice, and that's reflecting what the person said right away. I wonder, right?
What I wanted to say was you were concerned, but that to me is a weak. It's not mirroring; it's adding.
Okay, but now let's now this would work, Dave. So this reflective response would probably work, and they would probably go right on talking about it. If we wanted to make it a little stronger, then we could try to take it down to step number 3 in the relationship dialogue process, which was what? It wasn't validating, it was empathizing. Okay? Wondering is more of a cognitive function, but and this person clearly is not stating a feeling, are they? Anywhere in their statement. But are you picking up a feeling? Now again, you'd have their nonverbals and voice tone and all that. So if you were going to take it to the level of empathizing, could you tentatively offer back what your best guess is about what the person could be feeling?
They don't feel secure, or they don't feel appreciated.
Fear.
Okay. So what would be, what about, do you hear worry? Or I don't know, did somebody hear something else? I was sort of hearing a little bit of that. Now again, this is my hallucination, isn't it? Because they haven't said that. But again, I would be paying attention to their voice tone and their body language as well. And if I wanted to include in my reflective response also something that got to the feeling level, then even if they don't say the feeling, I might tentatively offer back. It seems like you might be worried. Notice how I, made it conditional. I didn't say you are worried, right? And you could maybe put that in there somewhere. But other than that, I think this will work. Does somebody else want to share theirs? I won't write it down, but just so we hear that there are lots of different ways of coming at a reflective response that all could work. Remember, our goal with the reflective response is we want the person to feel understood, because then, once the person feels understood, 2 magical things happens. You told them you already got this part. Have you ever been listening to somebody and they keep saying the same stupid thing, the same thing over and over again, and it kind of gets to you? Like, well, okay, we already did. The fastest way to stop that is to feed it back to them and let you know you got it. And then you take that away from them in a sense, because you said, I understood that part, and then they pause for a second. And sometimes when people aren't used to it, and when you do that to them, they pause, because they weren't expecting you to understand it and say that you understood it. They were expecting that they would have to say it 6 times for you to start, and so they were geared up. And then all of a sudden there's a pause. And then if you're patient and you wait, you know what? They go to the next level. And now you're really helping this person, because when they go to the next level, they're about to discover awareness inside themselves that they hadn't had about this situation. And sometimes they actually discover resources in themselves that would be really helpful in this situation, but they were just spinning their wheels because they kept on the surface, because this is all they ever got out, because nobody let them know they got that part, so they kept giving them that part. Have you ever noticed that you do that? If you don't think the other guy's got it yet, what do? You give it to them again, right? And a lot of time is wasted with people even in team meetings. You can sit on team meetings and you kind of go, I don't believe they spent 45 minutes saying the same thing over and over and over again. Couldn't they have let each other know they understood that part so we could take it deeper and maybe find something that would work better for everybody? You get what I'm saying here? So it does have a place. Now, somebody else want to share theirs, just so we can hear that reflective responses can sound a lot different than this one. What Dave did is he was trying to pick up each piece of the content, which he did pretty well. You got one?
Yeah, but it's wrong.
Nothing wrong. It just is.
Because I just came out of a miserable job situation, so
okay.
My interpretation of it is completely different.
Oh, so now this is really important, because if I'm understanding what you're saying, some of your life story was creeping into this situation, and you were aware that, oh, I'm responding to this out of my life story, not theirs. And that's huge. See, that awareness is the exact awareness you want to have when you're really doing good reflective listening. So that would still benefit you, right? Because you have that awareness, right?
I couldn't get past it though.
Right, but just knowing that it's there, then what I could, if I were in your situation, I could just say, boy, this is really triggering some things in my life story. I'm not sure I can be a good listener right now. I wonder if we could get together later, because I do want to hear what's going on with you. So I know that I'm not in a place where I can listen well. This is really huge, folks. When, especially like somebody you deeply care, maybe one of your kids comes up to you or whatever, and you think, well, let me just do some fast listening here so I can get on to the next thing, get the kid out of here. But no, if you can say to them, I got these things going on right now, and now is not a good time for me to do this, but I really want to listen to you. Let's make an appointment to listen later. Because if you don't do that, what happens? The other person thinks, you don't care, I'm not important, everything in your life is more important than me, so why bother? So now we just put up a huge wall, and all it would have taken to not put that wall there was for you to say, use your awareness. I'm not in a place now where I'm going to be able to listen to you well, but I do want to listen to you well. So can we make a time and a place to do that in the future? It's making some sense?